Hi, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the ffmpeg xfade transition, which is available in ffmpeg 4.3 and later. So this is a set of the transitions that we can apply to clips that you'd normally use a video editor for. So as you can see, we've got fades, wipes, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is crack on, and first of all what you need to do is get the latest version of ffmpeg installed. If you're running a rolling release like Arch, you're fine, you're good to go. But if you're running Ubuntu 20.04 like I am, you're going to need to install ffmpeg using another method. The method I recommend is using nixpkgs, which I covered in a previous video. So as you can see here, you need version 4.3 or later for the xfade filters in ffmpeg. So I've got a full guide here on actually setting up nixpkgs. And you can just basically come through here and follow this. And I've got a video accompanying the documentation on how you set this up. And this is my configuration for nixpkgs, where I'm actually installing the latest version of ffmpeg. So that's the first thing we need to do, is actually get ffmpeg installed. So I presume you've got to this stage. So, you know, get everything installed, come back to the video, and we'll crack on. So these are all the transitions that we're actually going to be using. Now there's a lot of guides on the internet on using these filters, but they're all wrong, except for this video, and I'll explain why. So the issue is, this is a video filter. Now, if you apply a video filter to something with an audio track, what's going to happen? It's not going to process the audio, so the audio is going to get out of sync. You'll see lots of guides explaining, oh, you need to use a cross filter, you know, just stick it on the end of the command. That doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is actually take you through this and show you how we can apply transitions without using a video editor. So I've got the documentation up here on how this works. I've uploaded a new script. So what we're going to do is crack on, and first of all, I'm going to open up Emacs, and you can use your own file manager, but what I just want to show you here is what I've done is taken Big Butt Bunny, and using a script I covered in a previous video called scene detection, I've chopped the video up into individual clips. So as you can see here, these are all the individual clips that make up the video. Now, a quick side note here, you'll see that these clips are all listed numerically. So what I just want to do is switch across to the terminal and show you what the issue is. If I normally just run ls, you'll see that what happens is all the videos are listed like this: 110, 100, 101, which is a pain because it means I can't go through them in the correct order. So the trick is, as a quick side diversion, is in Emacs. I'll get to ffmpeg in a second, but this is just a quick Emacs tip. If we come down to our diode section down here, what you'll see is the diode listing switches, and these are switches that you'd normally pass on the command line to the ls program. So what we're doing is we've got AHLV, and V is the key. So if I run this command in the terminal, okay, let me just switch back to the terminal. What you see is that is now listing them in the correct order. So ls-AHLV. So A is for hidden files, H is for human readable size output. We've got the long listing, and V is the key to get this listing. So that's just a little side note, because what we want to be able to do is have everything listed in the correct order so that we can actually go through the clips. So what we've got now is all these clips, and what I'm going to do has actually come through and select a couple of clips and actually run the commands to apply a filter. So I'm going to copy these two clips, so mark those and copy them to the desktop. Okay, we just come back to the desktop and let's increase the file size here, the size here. So we got these two clips, Big Butt Bunny 96 and 97. So I just play these for you so you can actually see what these look like. That's the first clip. And we'll play the second clip. Okay, so we've got two clips, and what we're going to do is actually run the xfade script that I've written. Now, what this does is it does the maths for you. So I'm going to run xfade-h, which is going to print out the help for this script and how you actually use it. So what we've got here is xfade -a clip 1 -b clip 2. Pretty simple. And then what we have is a duration, a transition, an offset, and an out file. And I'll go through and explain all of these. So first of all, A and B, that's obviously the clips we're going to process. The D for the duration is the duration of the transition. -T, transition, is the name of the transition, and these are all the transitions that we can apply. The offset, now what this is by default, what happens is the transition is applied to the start of the video. Now what I've done is I've set it up so that it calculates the duration of the video, and basically it will apply the video, the transition between two clips at the end of the first clip. Now what the offset does is it lets you override it and set the transition at another point in the video. So suppose you've got a 10-second video, by default it's going to add the transition at the end of the video. What the offset does is allows you to pick a point in the video to set the transition, so 5 seconds. And that's effectively like a ripple delete in a video editor, and it will transition from 5 seconds to the start of the next video. And now then we have the out file, where you can specify the out file name, but if you don't, it's going to automatically name it. What I'm going to do without further ado is actually crack on. So we've got xfade, and what I'm going to do is run this without any options. So what I've done is I've set the script up in such a way that it has default options that you can override. So by default, what it's going to do is it's going to apply a transition at the end of the first video into the second video for a duration of 0.5 seconds using a fade filter. So I just press return, does its thing, and what you can see here is, because I didn't provide an out file name, it's automatically named the file using the file name of the first clip we passed in, and then -xfade, the time, the date and the time. And the reason for that is that allows you to batch script stuff. Okay, and it also will give it the name and the the effect that we're applying, the xfade. So if you're editing lots of clips, it's helpful because it's going to tell you the name of the file that's been processed, the transition, this xfade, and then the time. So let's play that. Oh, do you know what I did there? Put in the wrong second clip. Okay, so as you can see, we'll make mistakes. So what I did was I actually passed in the first clip twice. Mistakes do happen. Okay, So let's start that. Okay, I'll do it again. I'll play it again so you can see. So that's the standard filter that we're going to be using. So what I'm going to do is actually go through all the different filters that we can apply. So what I'm going to do is go through every single filter listed. So if I run xfade-h, you can see these are all the filters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demo all these different filters one by one so you can see what they look like. So we'll start, let me just bring this up in a separate window so I actually have a listing on a separate page. So we're going to go through these, clip A, and then clip B at 97, and what we're going to do is we're going to override the default transition, which is the fade, and by using the -t flag, and we'll do circleclose, and what I'm going to do is give all these an out file name and explicitly name them after the filter so it makes it easier to follow along. So circleclose.mp4, a second or two. Okay, mpv circleclose, and what I'll do is for each of these I'll show you the command and I'll run the effect twice so you can actually see what it looks like. Okay, and what I'll do is also increase the duration so you can actually do the effect going for a bit longer. Okay, so I can do the same thing and I can override the duration. So what I'm going to do is just rename this dur.mp4, and I'm going to set the duration to 1 second. mpv circle dur. Okay, that's a 1 second transition. Okay. So as I said, I'm going to go through all of these one by one, and then I'll go through the script and explain how everything works and what the secret sauce is to get this working, because it's not covered anywhere else. Everyone else gets it wrong. So what we're going to do now is the circleopen. So we'll do the circleopen. The next filter, circleopen, call it out, circleopen.mp4. And what did I do wrong there? Yep, I put in the file extension for the transition. Okay, circleopen.mp4. Yep, that's good. So circleopen is obviously the reverse of the circleclose. Circleopen. Yep. That's the circleopen. We also have the circlecrop as well as the other one. So circlecrop out circlecrop.mp4. mpv circlecrop. Okay, so that's a circlecrop. Right. Next, we've got the diagonal blur. So again, to see the name of the filters, just run xfade-h. See down here, we got all the name of the filters. I did look at if there's a way to provide auto completion for this in the ZSH shell, but I couldn't find an example that would let me auto complete after sort of like the -t. Most things were sort of for auto completing for the actual argument, not the options passed to the arguments. So diagonal blur. So this is diagbl out diagbl.mp4. Okay, PV. Okay, so that's the diagonal blur, and we've got another one which is diagbr. So I think this is like top left, bottom right, bottom left, that sort of thing. diagb. God's sake, my eyesight. diagbr.mp4 mp. You see it comes from a different swipe, comes from a different area. See it's coming from up here. Okay, so next one we got TL and then TR. So TL, maybe I'll put the duration for a second so this is a bit more obvious. DIA GL.mp4, and I'll put the duration for 1 second. That's going to be top left. Top left. Okay, and I will sort of pick some other clips to go through so that we're not just doing the same clip as well. So top left and top right. So we've got top right, TR, out, DIA, GTR.mp4-T1, bang, D1 rather. That's TR.mp4. Okay, so now what we've got is the dissolve, and then we're going to go into the distance. So dissolve, SSOLV, out, DISSOLV.mp4-D1, and the dissolve. Dissolve. Okay. So next one we've got is the distance. So distance, DISTANSE, distance.mp4, D1. And you can see how fast this is. I mean, this is much quicker than using a video editor. By the time I've actually edited the video, your video editor won't even have opened, basically. So we've got the distance. That's a distance filter. So I think we're done with this clip. So let's see if we can find a another clip to use. So let's come across. The thing is, you need something that's actually a couple of seconds long, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's try these two. If the clips are too short, there's not enough room for transition. So let's try 105 and 106 and see if they work. Okay, so we've got 105 and 106 here. So xfade. I haven't checked these two, so there's a good possibility they might be too short or something, but that's life, isn't it? Always going to be sort of errors or what have you. So 105, and we'll do B as 106. There we go. And the filter that we're going to apply now, we've got the fade. So I'm just going to do the fade for this, which is the default filter. So, so transition fade, and do out fade.mp4. We'll do duration of 1, and we'll see if this works. Yeah, okay, the clips are okay. So mpv fade. Okay. That's the fade clip. So now we've got fade black. So we'll do fade black. Fade black. Out fade black. .mp4. D1. Fade black. Nice fade there. Okay, we've got fade grays and fade white as well. So fade grays, out fade grays .mp4 duration 1. Okay, right, mpv fade grays. You go, you see a grayscale fade there. Yep. And then we've got fade white. So as you can see, I'm just going to crack through these because there's quite a few to get through, and also want to actually cover how this all works and the logic of this and how the script works. So fade white, mp4, d1. Oh, what's it doing now? That's the fade white. Do it again. I'll just do each one of these twice so you actually go fade white. So after that we've got the hblur. So hblur. Let's do the other clips that we were doing before actually. So it was at 96, 97. So I'm going to go back to 96, 97. Xfade A. We've got body 96, clip B, we've got bunny 97, and what is it, the H blur. So transition H blur, I call it H blur, and the position of these arguments doesn't matter. Okay, so you can do them in whatever order you like. So the duration can come after the out file, it's not going to affect it. So hblur, mp4, and duration 1, mpv hblur. That's the hblur. Okay. Right, after that we've got the hlslice, again xfade -h, you can see here, this is what I'm going through all of these, so we're onto the hlslice. So hlslice, out hlslice, hrslice .mp4 duration 1. hslice hlslice. Okay, that's like a horizontal slice in sort of like a blind effect. Okay. Next, after that, we got horizontal close. So HORZ close. Outfile name horizontal close.mp4 duration 1. Run out of T. So that's horizontal close. Yep. Okay, so that's a horizontal close. Then we've got the horizontal open. Out. Horizontal open. .mp4 d1. That's the reverse of the previous effect, basically. Okay, then we've got hrslice. So we're going to move on to hrslice. hrslice. hrslice.mp4 out. Oh no, we've already done the out. d1. mpv hrslice. So that's like the hlslice. So typically these are named like hl can be left, hr right, obviously. Okay. After that, we've got the pixelize filter. Let's spell it properly. Pixelize. Out pixelize.mp4 duration 1. The pixelize, bang. That's pixelize. After that, we've got radial. Let's cross radial, out radial.mp4 duration 1. Okay, that's a sort of radial thing going round. After that, we got the rectcrop. So rectcrop, RECT crop, out RECT crop .mp4-d1, and I'll show you the offset a bit later with some longer clips. So rectcrop. Oh, on the wrong bloody monitor there. Hang on a second. So that's the rectcrop. Okay, and after that we've got slide down. I'm just going to crack through these and demo them all. Slide down, out file, slide down, got mp4-d1. the slide down. Okay, you can see it pushes the bottom video down. Right, after that we got slide left and slide right and slide up. So slide left, out, slide left, .mp4, D1. Okay. Look at this light to work. Say that again. Okay, so that's slide left, and then we go slide right and slide up, slide right, out, slide right, .mp4, D1. Let's play that one. And that was slide right, wasn't it? Yep. Then slide right. Okay, and we'll do slide up, which should be pretty obvious, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. Okay, MPV slides up. Okay, so let's see if we can find some other clips. This is a slightly longer clip. See here? See what the next one's like. We'll use these two clips. So we're going to mark them, copy them to the desktop. This is why using Emacs is actually quite nice, because everything's in order. I can copy the files and I can open the files directly from here. So what we've got now is whatever the ones I just copied were, 14 and 15. So let's do 14 and 15. So xfade-a, big butt bunny, 114, bit B, 115, and the transition that we're going to do is the smoothdown. Smoothdown, smoothdown.mp4 with a duration of 1. And this is quite a long clip, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the offset with this one after I've gone through the transitions. So that was short-term memory loss, smooth down, MPV smooth down. This is, you can see there, that's the effect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is like 7 seconds in here, and this is the end of the first clip. You can see it's a sort of smooth effect. I'll show you the offset, which allows us to place the transition somewhere apart from the end of the clip. But what you've got to bear in mind with that is you've got to make sure that you don't set it too close to the end of the clip, because otherwise there's not enough leeway for it to perform the transition. And I'll explain all that when I go through the script properly, and what the actual secret sauce is that gets this to work that isn't mentioned anywhere else. So we got the smooth down, we got the smooth left, right and up. So We had smooth down, and now we've got smooth left. Out smooth left dot mp4 duration of 1. I wanted to go through and show you all the effects, you know, one by one, so you can actually see smooth left. You can see the transition gradually came in from the left there. Just play that again and watch as he crawls up the branch. So you'll see the effect coming there. So that's smooth left, and obviously we've got smooth right and smooth up as well. So smooth right, out smooth right dot mp4 duration 1. MPV smooth right. You see the transition is going to come in from the right hand side. Okay. Go back and show you these, all of these twice. Okay, so you can see the transition came in from the right there, and basically setting the transition to have a duration of 1 second for the demo, so that it's actually easier to see. So that was smooth right, which smooth. So we've done that, and we've got to do smooth up. So smooth up, and that's not a euphemism. Out smooth up. .mp4 duration 1. Okay, MP smooth up, and the transition is going to come up from the bottom. Okay, so that's all the smooths. Now we've got squeezeh. So squeezeh. That's squeezeh. Right, yep. No, it's not. That's the. And he has one E. Okay, so that's like squeeze horizontal and vertical. So squeeze horizontal, .mp4 duration 1. Go mpv squeeze. Okay, so that's sort of compressing it. Okay, and then we've got the reverse, but the other one, squeeze vertical, out squeeze vertical .mp4 duration 1. Now I don't want to correct that. Oh, I spelled it wrong in the output name. Doesn't matter. Mistakes will happen. Squeeze. So this should be V. It's going to come from the sides. This one, I think. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is going to be the vdslice. We've got vdslice, vdslice, out vdslice.mp4 duration 1. Okay, so we've got a lot of transitions to play with here, more than you'll actually get in some basic video editors actually. So vdslice. Okay, that's like the other sort of Venetian blind effect. Okay, so we've got vdslice. Now we've got vertclose and vertopen. So we've got vertclose. Let's do vertclose out vertclose.mp4 duration 1. And I didn't spell the output file name again correctly. It should be vertclose. There you go. So it's sort of coming in from the sides there. Okay. Then we've got vertopen. Vertopen out vertopen.mp4. Okay, mpv vertopen. Yeah, so you can see it comes from the center as opposed from the sides. Okay, after that we've got vdslice. So vdslice. vdslice. So vdslice out vdslice.mp4 duration 1. Okay, so that's like the Venetian blind effect again, coming from the bottom. Okay, so that was the vdslice, and now we're on to the wipes. So we've got wipe BL, bottom left. So that's wipe BL out wipe BL.mp4 duration 1. Okay. Okay, and then we've got wipe BR and wipe down as well. So wipe BR. Okay, so that's going to the other corner. And next we've got wipe down. Wipe down. Yeah, almost finished. We've got a few more to go. Wipe down. Okay. that's the wipe down. Then we've got wipe left, wipe right. So wipe down, wipe left, wipe left, P4. Okay, into the wipe left. Okay, so that's the wipe left. And then we've got wipe right. And we're on the home stretch, a couple left to do. Out, wipe right, .mp4. Okay, the wipe right. Okay, and then we've got wipe TL, wipe TL. Okay, wipe TL. And then we've got wipe TR, and finally wipe up. So wipe TR. Okay, MPV wipe TR. So look for the top right. Yeah. Okay, and finally we've got wipe up. So wipe up, out, wipe up, got MP4, duration 1. Okay, MPV up. Okay, wipe up. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to put the offset at 3 seconds. So what I'm going to do is show the offset. So the offset is the offset from the beginning of the clip in seconds. So if I do the same thing here and I specify -F and the offset, and you can use 1 decimal point. So you can use 3.5 for instance, but don't put any more zeros on the end. You just want to put it like that. So I'm going to put I'll put it for 3. No, I need to give it a new name. Let me give it a new name. Let's just call this offset, and you'll see what I'm talking about with the offset. Okay, so MPV offset. You see how the effect kicked in earlier? So what it's done is a sort of ripple delete, like you would in a video editor. It's set the transition from 3 seconds to the next clip, and it's ignoring the rest of the clip basically. So that's all of the the clip. So what I'm going to do now is come across to Emacs and open the script up and go through all of this and explain how we get all this to work, and the secret sauce that isn't actually mentioned anywhere else. So first of all, we got the shebang, and this is a shell script, it's not a bash script. So this script will work on Linux, Mac, Unix and Windows as well, but what you need to do on Windows is install the Windows subsystem for Linux, and install Ubuntu, and then you can basically use this script on Windows as well. So first of all, we've got the script usage, which is displayed when you pass in the -h flag, or if you make an error, it's going to prompt you with the script usage explaining the command that you need to run with the -a for the first clip, -b for the second clip, -d for the duration, -t for the transition, -f for the offset, and -o for the out file. So we've got all that listed down here, and then the name of the transitions that you can actually use with the xfade filter. So that's the script usage. Then what we have is some error messages. So if you put in something that's not a file, or you run something that requires an argument and you don't pass the argument in, it's going to throw an error and display the help message. Next section down here is if you run the script without any arguments, and if you just run xfade, what it's going to do is it's going to display the script usage. Next section down here, this is called getops, and what this does is this is all the flags that are passed to the script, like -a, -b, -d. So what we have here is a case statement, and that matches all of these options here that are also specified up here. So we've got all the options, the argument flags for the script, and then what we have is a variable that is set to be equal to the options argument. So what that means is when you run xfade-a and you give it a clip, clip 1 is going to be equal to the name of the clip that you've passed in. Clip 2 is going to be equal to clip B. DUR is going to be the duration that you've passed in. T is going to be the transition you've passed in. The offset is obviously the offset, and then we've got the out file. Then we've got stuff here that basically catches invalid errors and basically displays the help. Now, the next section down here, what this is this is how we get the name of the first clip that you've passed in. So when you run xfade-a and you give it a clip, what we do is we get the name without the full path. So we, home, your username, desktop, clip 1. We basically remove the path, so it just says clip1.mp4. Then what we do is we get the file name without the extension. So it'll just be called clip1. And the reason why we do that is for the automatic naming, so that if you don't pass the -o flag, it's automatically going to name the output file with the output file name -xfade and then the date and time, so it has a unique name. Then what we need to have down here is the defaults. These are the default options. So a default transition of 0.5, and we've got the default transition, which is a fade, and this is the output file name. So this is clip1 name -xfade and then the date and time. Okay, so this next section here, I may need to just make that a bit smaller. Okay, so that's a bit better, so we can see it all. What this block of code, this if-else statement, does is checks if you've passed in the offset. So as I showed you, the offset is the amount of time from the beginning of the clip where you want to apply the transition instead of the end of the clip. So what this does is it checks if the offset variable is set. And if it's not set, what we're doing here is we're creating a variable called clip1 duration, and what we do is we use ffprobe to get the duration of the clip. We then use printf to actually remove all the other decimal points. So we only have one decimal point, and we need to do that because we're going to be using the bc command to do some calculations, and we don't want all the extra zeros. So instead of 3.5.0, hang on, 3.5000000, it's just going to be 3.5. Makes things simpler. Then what we do in here, what we have is this offset default. And what we're doing is we're echoing clip one time minus the duration. So you can see here we've got clip one time. So that's the duration of the clip from here with the extra zeros removed. Then what we're doing is we're minusing the duration. And you see this block of code where we've got duration and then colon equals duration default. This is a special bit of code that allows us to have a fallback. So if you've not specified the duration on the command line, it's going to use the default duration from up here. Okay, so if you specify -d on the command line and give it a duration, it's going to use this. If you don't specify a duration, it's going to fall back to the duration default, which is 0.5. So we're taking the clip length. So say the clip length is 10 seconds. Okay, what we're then doing is we're minusing the duration of the transition. So say we've got a 1 second duration. It's going to be 10 seconds minus a second. And this is one bit of the secret sauce. You've got a minus 0.1 of a second as well. You have a clip that's 10 seconds long and you've got a 1 second duration of the transition. So the transition kicks in at 9 seconds. It's going to fail. You'd think it would work, but it doesn't. There's not enough leeway. So what we need to do, and this took a long time to figure out, is minus 0.1 of a second to give it some leeway. Once we do that, it will work. So that's one bit of the secret sauce. Then we pipe it into the bc command, which basically does calculations. So it's going to, this is basically like basically running 10 minus 1 minus 0.1 and performing the calculation, which is going to give us 8.9 seconds. Then what we have here is the audio trim, and this is the secret sauce that's not mentioned anywhere else. You actually need to trim the audio so that the audio matches the video. Because if you just perform a transition using a video filter on 2 clips of good audio, what's going to happen? The audio is going to get out of sync. You're going to have either the audio ending before the video or the video ending before the audio. Okay, so this is the secret sauce. Then what we have is the else statement. So if you have passed in the offset and the duration options, what this does is this audio trim variable, it echoes the duration plus the offset. So suppose that, again, taking this 10-second clip example, suppose we've got a 10-second clip and we've set the duration of the transition to 1 second and we've set an offset for 5 seconds. Yeah, so we're going to start the transition at 5 seconds with a duration for the transition of 1 second. So that's going to be 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay, so that's some of the logic. Now what we have down here is the function that performs all of this. So I'm going to go through this line by line. So first of all, we've got ffmpeg. We hide the banner. We hide the sort of stats and any errors. So it's just printing out the actual progress. Then what we have is -i, clip 1, -i, and clip 2. So that's the 2 clips you've passed in. And these variable names correspond to what's passed in here. You see here, clip 1, clip 2 for dash A and B. So that's that. And then we get into the filter complex. And it's called complex for a reason, because it is. So what we're doing here in this mad block of code is, you can see we've got this 0:v and 1:v. What that corresponds to is, this is the first clip. 0, when you're in computer stuff, count always starts from 0, not 1. So 0 is the first clip. :v is the video track. So we're saying we're going to take the first clip's video track, and then 1:v is the second video track. So we're taking the first video track and the second video track, and we're applying the xfade transition. And what you can see here again, this is this block of code that allows us to do the fallback. So if the transition is set on the command line with the -t option, we're going to use the transition that's passed in. Otherwise, we fall back to the transition default, which is the fade. Yeah. Then what we have is the duration. And again, doing the same fallback trick. The duration is passed in, we use the duration. Otherwise, we fall back to a default. Then what we have is the offset, and this is the offset, so that you can specify that the transition doesn't start at the end, it starts X number of seconds into the first clip. And again, what we have is we have the offset here. So if you passed in the -f option to set the offset and put in 5, this offset is going to be equal to 5. Otherwise, it's going to be equal to the offset default, and that corresponds to this section up here. So if no options are passed in, it's going to correspond to the offset default, which is how we calculated the end of the clip minus the duration minus 0.1 seconds. So if you don't set in an offset, is going to do the transition at the end of the clip into the second clip. And what we're doing then is we store that in this variable called xfade. Now this is the bit no one mentions. Everyone gets wrong. You need to trim the audio clip. I mean, it may be obvious. A lot of people, what they do is they just say, oh yeah, you just need to use this across filter with the 2 clips. Doesn't work. The across filter only works at the end of a clip, right? So if you use the offset, okay, the across fade would ignore the offset and still happen at the end of the first clip. And what will happen then is everything's going to get out of sync, and you'll have audio that finishes before the video, or video finishes before the audio. So this is the secret sauce. We take the first clip, 0:A, right? That's the audio we need to trim. We're trimming from the start of the clip, so atrim equals 0. Then again, we have this fallback. We have audio trim, or it falls back to audio trim default. So the audio trim is basically if we're setting the if we're manually setting the offset, providing a duration, what it's going to do is, again, say we set the offset for 5 seconds and a duration for 1 second, that's going to be 6 seconds, okay, instead of like ending at 10 seconds. So that's trimming it, and if there's nothing set, okay, we fall back to audio trim default, which is this section down here, and basically that is going to be equal to the position of the video transition in the first clip. But this is, I mean, it may seem obvious, but you're trimming something in a video editor, you've got to trim the audio and the video at the same time, because otherwise it's going to get out of sync. Okay. Then what we have is atrim, so that's saved as atrim, and then we have so atrim is going to be equal to the first clip being trimmed. Now 1:A is the second video clip. So once we've trimmed the video clip, the first video clip, so that it matches up with the video, we can then use the across filter with the D flag and the duration. And the duration is going to be set either to the duration you've passed into or the fallback duration default. Once we've done all of that, we use the map function to map xfade, which is the video tracks, and the afade together to combine it into one clip. We then specify the pixel format, and you need to do this because a lot of video players, if you don't do this, will not play the video, specifically things like QuickTime. We then set the move flags to be fast start. And what that means, it's going to be a web ready file. So it's going to put the iPod Atom at the top of the video file so that it plays, you know, you can play it. Because if you don't do this, what happens is basically you have to load up the whole video clip in a browser before it will play. Okay, so this is the move flags. And finally, we specify the out file name. So again, we've got the out file name. If you specified the -O option and give it an out file name, it's going to use the out file name. Otherwise, it's going to fall back to the out file default name, which is this variable we set up here, out file default, which is going to be the clip one name without the extension, -xfade, and the date and time. Okay, so that's the gubbins of the script. And then finally at the bottom, what we do is we actually run the function. So again, quick recap: script usage, error messages, check if script's been run without any arguments. Then we've got the get options, which set all the variables equal to the arguments passed to flags. So clip one's going to be equal to whatever you pass in after -A. Clip 2 is going to be equal to whatever you pass into -B. Okay, then we got the in-file name without the extension. We set the defaults. We do the checking to see if the offset's been passed in. We get the time of the video. We've moved the extra zeros. We do some calculations to the clip 1 minus the duration, or the duration default minus 0.1, which is 1 bit of the secret source. Then we set the audio trim default to clip 1 time minus 0.1. If no options are, if you want to script out any duration or offset options, what we do, no, this is the one where we set the if the options are set, again, we add the duration to the offset. And then finally, we've got the function here where we go through all this filter complex, where we take the video tracks, we apply the transitions to them, we then take the audio track, we trim it to match the transition, we join everything up, and we're good to go. So that's the actual script and how it works. So let's come back to all of this. So this is the ffmpeg page with examples, and these are all GIFs. Okay. So if you know, what a lot of people do is they'll just sort of use this block of code here on a video, and then what will happen? It's not going to work because the audio is going to be out of sync. Okay. And again, we need version 4.3 or above of ffmpeg. And again, the way we do that, if you're not running a rolling release, one of the options, the option I would recommend is using Nix PKG Package Manager to install the latest version of ffmpeg. And the advantage of this is it's self-contained, doesn't interfere with any of the other libraries on the system. And we've got the video to accompany that. And this is my NixPKG setup. And as you can see down here, these are all the programs I've got installed, and there's ffmpeg. And this is the documentation for all of the scripts that I've written. So this is part of a collection of ffmpeg scripts. They've got audio silence, combining clips, correcting clips with GIMP, so you can actually use GIMP to color correct videos. This is a crossfade. This is like using the old version, using alpha channels and stuff that before the xfade clips were available. We've got an EBU meter which measures the audio levels. We can extract frames from a video, we can fade clips, fade normalize, fade clips with a title, convert an image to a video. We've got loud norm, which will analyze a video and normalize the audio. No, loud norm gives you the stats. Normalize normalizes it. We've got overlay clip, and that's basically allows you to kind of insert a clip into another clip. Overlay pip, which is a picture-in-picture. Pan scan is like Ken Burns effect. Scene cut, detect, and images and time. That's what I showed you a previous video that allows us to take a video and analyze it and then chop it up into all the clips automatically. And that's what I did with the Big Black Bunny clip. I've got sub to transcript, and basically what that does, and subtitle add, and what these basically do is they allow you to take a the subtitle add will basically allow you to take a subtitle and add it to a video file as subtitles that you can turn on and off, not as hard-coded subs. So basically you can take subtitles and add them to a video which you can then toggle on and off. We've got scopes, and that's basically like video scopes you'd get in a video editor with the histogram and all that kind of stuff. Tile thumbnails, this basically produces a contact script, a contact sheet rather, of images from the video. So it will basically take a thumbnail every X seconds into a video and display them in a sheet like you would, you know, like a contact strip. We've got trim clip, and this is basically to trim video clips on the command line to the millisecond. Got vid to GIF, and this basically takes a video and converts it into a high quality GIF. Waveform shows the waveform. We got the xfade, which is the one I just showed you, and zoom pan is like another Ken Burns thing. And that's basically a list of all the scripts, how you can install them. Basically, I'll go through here, shows you how to, you know, create a bin directory, copy all the scripts in. You can either copy them individually, or you can just basically symlink the whole. You can symlink them individually or the entire folder. And this is basically, you know, how you can install ffmpeg. This would just be like a regular version of ffmpeg, but as I say, you're going to need version 4.3 of ffmpeg or above to get this to work. So what I'm going to do now is just switch back to the desktop. So let's come back to the desktop. My fingers will do the walking. Okay, so what I'll do is I've got all the effects here. So what I'll do is I'll just whiz through them one more time, just show you what they all are. So circleclose. Okay, circleclose. This is the circleclose with the duration, where I set the duration a bit longer. And this is circlecrop. Okay. Might as well do them twice each time, just so you get the picture. So that's circlecrop. We've got circleopen. circle open, diagonal blur, is it diagonal bottom left, I think it is. Okay, next one. And again. Move on. Okay, this is the top right. Dissolve. Distance. Fade, default. That's the fade, fade black. Grays. Fade white. And next we've got hblur. Yep, that's horizontal blur. Quite a nice one. hlslice, which I think is the sort of blind effect. And we've got horizontal close. And horizontal open. hrslice. That's a blind effect again. And the offset again, which is how you can specify that the duration should occur X number of seconds into the clip instead of the end. Now pixelize. Radial. And we've got rectcrop. Slidedown. Slideleft. Slideright. And then slide up. And remember, I set the default, the duration to be 1 second, so that it's easier you to see the transitions, whereas by default I've set it to 0.5 for, you know, snappier transition. And we've got smoothdown. It's a sort of nice smooth down fade. Smooth left. And we do the smooth right, and now you may remember these kind of smooth fades from Star Wars. When they're on the Land Cruiser thing, going to the bar, I think it is. Had these kind of wipes. It's like an old school wipe, you know, having older films. Move up. Squeeze, that should be squeeze L, I think it was. B, squeeze B, that should be. That's a sort of squeeze one. Squeeze it to the center. Same deal, but vertically now, I think it is. vdslice. And that again, that's the filter, that's the lines effect. Vertclose. That's a nice one. You've got the opposite, vertopen. vdslice. The sort of blind effect going from the bottom. White BL. BR, white BR. Wipe down. We've got wipe left. Wipe right. Wipe TL. And top left. wipe tr, top right. Okay, and finally wipe up. Okay, so that was all the transitions. That was how we set everything up. So as I said, get yourself the latest version of ffmpeg. You're running rolling release, you're good to go. Otherwise, you know, you could use a PPA. But I quite like using Nix PKGs. It keeps everything separate from your system. Actually very easy to use and set up. Once you've done that, if you've already got the Git repository cloned, just do a git pull. If not, clone the repository, follow the instructions, and basically, you know, create a bin directory, add the following code to your sort of, you know, ZSH. Actually, what I do is, if I just come back across to my ZSH, I think it's EMV, is it? Yeah. So this is the way you want to do it if you're using ZSH. So if you're using ZSH, in your ZSH EMV file, basically add this block of code, typeset -u path equals home bin, and I also have home local bin for sort of other sort of scripts, and export path. And what the -u option does is it makes sure that the path is unique. So if I come across here and run echo path, you see it's got my Nix profile stuff, and then bin, use local bin, and then you know, the system path, sbin, you know, that kind of thing. The reason why this is important is the order of the path is important, is because these items here, like stuff in my Nix profile bin, take precedence over the system libraries. And what that means is that ffmpeg installed in my Nix bin, my Nix PKG bin, takes precedence over ffmpeg that is installed with my system. So if I run ffmpeg -version, because it's 4.4.1, if I run user bin ffmpeg version, you'll see it's 4.2.4, and as I said, you need version 4.3 of ffmpeg or later, because that's the release that the xfade filters were added. So by default, if you're on Ubuntu 20.04 or long-term release, your ffmpeg version will not have the xfade filters. So that's why you need to make sure you're running a version of ffmpeg greater than 4.3. So if it's not working, that's the reason why. So that's the path setup for ZSH. Also, the other recap was the Emacs tip with the diad listing switches. So seq diad listing switches -ahlv, and basically, as I said, what that does is if I come into this directory, it lists them all like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, etc. Instead of by default, it will sort of list them sort of out of order. So don't have the -v option, you just run it. I just run that. You can see how they'd normally be listed 1, 10, 100, or 101, 102, yada yada yada. You pass in the -v option, bang. That's what we want. Stuff listed in the correct order. So that's why using Emacs is kind of handy for this, because you can do your own switches, and it just means I've got all the clips here in the correct order, and I can just open them up as I showed you with the diad videos I made about opening applications with external programs. So you can see what I've got to do is press here and I can open these, I can mark these, I can delete these. So it's just really handy. So that's a sort of Emacs tip, and also a terminal tip of if you want to see stuff in the correct order, use the -v option. You can see here it will then list everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whereas if I was just to run ls, you can see there'd be 1, 10, 100, yada yada yada, which is no good. So that's muddle around with Windows now if I can find everything. So that's the xfade transitions. That's all the xfade transitions. And as I said, the secret sauce is two things. One, trimming the audio, which no one mentions. And if you think about it, it's pretty obvious. If you just trim a video track on its own without touching the audio, it's going to get out of sync, right? So that's why we need to trim the audio. And the second tip was minusing 0.1 to allow some leeway if we're applying a transition between two clips. So those were the two bits of the secret sauce that took a bit of a while to figure out. But basically now you can add all these transitions between two clips. And as I said, run xfade -h, it's going to give you all the help. So -a, clip 1, -b, clip 2, pretty obvious. You can just run it like that, and it's going to use the defaults. Otherwise, you can change the duration with the -d flag. You can specify the transition with the -t. You can use the offset with the -f and the -o for the out file name. And if you don't provide the out file name, it's going to automatically create the out file name for you, which is useful for scripting. So that's how you use the script. Those are all the filters that we got available, and basically it's much faster than using a video editor. I can apply a transition to two clips before your video editor has even opened. And let me just come back here. DaVinci Resolve. And come on Google, say please. Yeah, I agree. So DaVinci Resolve. So all the video editors on Linux are awful. They are not professional quality. They're unusable. You get people saying, oh yeah, you can use Blender. Blender is rubbish for video editing. It is awful. So if anyone tells you to use Blender, I've used it, it's crap. All the other things people recommend, Kdenlive, reputation for crashing. The only good video editor on Linux that is professional quality is DaVinci Resolve. But there's a problem. The free version of DaVinci Resolve on Linux doesn't allow you to import or export H.264 footage, which is what your footage is going to be in. If you want to do that, you're going to have to pay 300 quid. So the issue with DaVinci Resolve on Linux is there's no support for importing or exporting H.264. And what that means is you have to convert your footage from H.264 to something like DNX. The issue with that is when you convert a 1 gigabyte, suppose you've got a 1 gigabyte file, an H.264 file, you convert it to the equivalent quality in DNX, it's going to be 10 gig. So every time you convert something from H.264 to DNX to import it into DaVinci Resolve, it's going to increase the file size by 10 times. So you've got to convert all your footage from H.264 into DNX, which is going to take massive amounts of space. It's going to take a long time. You get it all into DaVinci Resolve. You export from DaVinci Resolve, and it's going to export as DNX. So that's going to mean everything you're going to double up. So you can have, like, if you converted a 1 gig file from H.264 to DNX, that's 10 gig you've got to import. When you export it as DNX, it's going to be another 10 gig. And then you've got to convert that DNX back into H.264. So the problem with DaVinci Resolve is you've got to spend a lot of time converting all your footage from H.264 into DNX and increasing the file size by 10 times before you can get it in. And then once you've exported it from DaVinci Resolve, you're going to have to go through the same thing and take all those, that 10 gig file that you just created and convert it back into H.264. So it's a really long workflow using DaVinci Resolve. Although it is the best video editor available for Linux, the issue is the conversion process you've got to go through and the amount of disk space it's going to take up. Also, it takes quite a few seconds to actually load up. It does take about 20 or 30 seconds sometimes to load up, even off a high-powered computer. So I could probably do about 3 or 4 transitions by the time DaVinci Resolve's actually opened. So that's why doing simple transitions with ffmpeg like this is a lot quicker, and also means you don't have to spend 300 quid on a video editor as well. And also the other thing is you'd have to have a really powerful computer. You've got to have I think the default recommendation is actually like 16 gig minimum. RAM that you need for this. So that's another issue. So that's the xfade script. I will look at how you could batch process multiple files together. So I will look at if it's possible to take a directory of files and apply a default transition between all of the clips, but I'll have to get my thinking cap on for that. So that's all for now. That's all the documentation. I'll put links to everything under the video. So that's ffmpeg's xfade script, made a bit more usable, and I've been chatting away for quite a while now, and I think I'll give it a rest. So that's all for now.